Hi everybody, it's Mr. D at In the Middle of Mr. D1 at blogspot.com, and it's week 2, day 2. And so I'm going to share my ideas about what I'm doing today. We are in that phase now where we're setting up the infrastructure so that the daily routines are really set and in place for week 3, and every day I'm adding something new. I'm laying some groundwork with the parents, so I'll talk about sort of the back structure of things I'm doing. The syllabi were due last week. I have all the email addresses there. I have assembled parent volunteers, 3 of them, to enter the data and to create the email list by class period. Second period, 7th grade, third period, 7th grade, so that I have easy access to the different levels. And I've also asked them to write the parent's name by parent of the child. That way, when I need to get in and get in contact with the parent really quickly, I'm not having to go through my grade book and locate an old email address that's no longer valid or whatever. I can just go right in and contact that parent. I think it's really key. The next thing I'm doing is an attendance taking helper. I'm picking that today. I have not done it yet, but I keep track of it over here on the wall, and I'll list the names of the kids that I choose to back check my attendance, because I tend to do a visual check and make quick marks so that I can flow through class. And then I have a dedicated child who comes over and seriously looks at the chart and marks everything and then leaves me a note. And then I assemble that data to make sure I've got accurate information, and then I enter the absences at the end of the day, or whenever I have a break. So those are things that are in place. Also today I have several announcements. So this is kind of small today, but maybe you can zoom it in or screenshot it. This is what I've listed for myself. So I'm going to distribute the random folder check rubric, and I'll show you what that looks like. This is it here. And so I'll give that out as one of my announcements after we do. I'll show you the sequence of the lessons in a minute, but these are things I want to make sure I do. And this is the scaffolding that holds it all together in the end. And they will keep that in their folder all year, so that when I do a random folder check, they know exactly where their grade's coming from. And I have a child who does the initial grade, and then I back check it. So when I do the random folder checks, these are their personal folders, not their music folders. That's a separate thing. The personal folders are checked. I go and check and make sure that the grade looks right, and I dig through just quickly, and I alter the grade if I need to do that based on, maybe a kid made a mistake or whatever. So I've got a lot of kid help, a lot of parent help, because my classes are so large, and it does help. So then I'm going to remind about Music Prodigy being due this Friday. They all have to be signed up and have their accounts ready. And then I'm going to go back over to my syllabi, make sure that these children, are getting them in, because these are the ones that are the stragglers. And I'm keeping that up in public until they turn them in. And once I get the email list by Friday, that in place, the parents will all be done entering that data. I can contact that parent directly, or earlier I can go into my grade book and do it if I want to do that. Okay, so, and then I'm going to urge the kids to check their Infinite Campus grades, because with such large classes, it really helps me. Sometimes I make errors, and if they're on top of it, it really does help me. And it helps them turn things in so they don't have zeros. Attendance takers I mentioned earlier, and then I'm going to make sure that if the parents who are doing the email list don't come in this morning to pick up the email list, I give it to the child whose parent is doing the email list. So I have those 3. So I'm ready to make sure, because once you get going in the class, you don't always hit everything. So those are my reminders. And then in each class, that's what I'm doing today. Every class will begin with an S-cubed lesson. We always start with the bell ringer activity. It takes less than 5 minutes for them to write it down, and then we go over it really quickly. And we play the game so that it's all fun, and they're singing. And then I do the announcements for each class. And then every class is at a different spot. So some are going to finish the syllabi, some are already done. We'll just do a quick review of some things that are important. And then you see every class is in a different spot in their learning. So the second period has not gotten their folders yet. So I'm going to distribute those and teach that process. And then at the end, of course, we will always end with singing the round, and I will correct singing technique according to the class and what I hear in that class. Now the third period is a little bit different today because they're a little ahead of my other 7th grade class. The boys are, because I've had them a little longer each day. They are actually going to go into their music. Yesterday they listened to the music, and so they're going to go into their music, and they're going to need to be able to get around it. Like yesterday I let them hear the songs that they're going to sing, two of the songs. And as they're doing it, that first day they're listening, they're getting lost, right? And this is normal. I didn't realize it was normal for many years, but they're getting lost. Like, why did we repeat? Where are these words coming from? Why are we skipping some words? And you see the chaos that occurs. And so I made these printouts, and this is for the wrong song, City Life. Okay, I'll do Dweller of the Cave. They are doing We're the Men, and they're doing Dweller of the Cave by Teresa Jennings. So I will teach, what is a staff versus what is a system. I'll talk about the brackets, the straight brackets versus the curved brackets, why it is that they're going to be reading this line on this one, why it is that we jump to there. These are the things that really kick their behinds when they have not read it. And so I'll also have an example of We're the Men, because that's more traditional tenor bass is what they'll be singing all year. This Dweller of the Cave is not the traditional tenor bass song. So, and we'll talk about that, but I just want to make sure that they understand about staffs, systems, and measures, especially measures. So we'll talk a lot about, that. Now, the kids, what I notice is that they struggle between here, why are they not connected? So I talk about how this all connects it, and that's what makes the system. Those are the things that kind of I've noticed over the years trip their eyeballs, okay? So we take time to teach that so that, and then I'll probably have some time to teach a little solfege for We're the Men so they can get the main melody, and then we'll put it away. And let me go back to my lesson plan here. That projection there really does help them a lot. Okay, and then we'll sing the round at the end, and I'll correct some singing technique and diction. The boys are struggling a little bit with pitch. I've got a dropper, an octave dropper, and we'll work on that always through the game and through rounds in the beginning. And the good thing about rounds is that they they're connected to you. There's no music between you and them at this moment, and they need that at this time of year. So you can really teach them about technique and singing and breathing and diction and little things here and there, nothing specific. We'll get way more specific later. But we're setting up that relationship about watching me and listening to me, and before we put that music between us and them. Okay, and so 4th period, they're going to do some listening to Sinnerman and Sia Humba, and they will talk about the layout of staffs and systems and octavos as well, but they don't have the struggles because they have experience. So on theirs, I will talk about how the traditional layout for SAB is staff, staff, staff. You have your own words, and then the piano's below. And then Sia Humba is the same as that, Sia Humba and Sinnerman, but their third song, Motherless Child, is not. So they've got alto and sopranos sharing a line with the stems pointing downward. Those are things that really throw them for a loop. And the words on Motherless Child, are different than the soprano words, and alto words are different. So, with the rhythms, and those are things that you must point out. You must take time at the beginning of the year to help them see that it's not always laid out the same. Otherwise, you have confusion, and that ends up with behavior issues and all this. So then I'll have some time to teach a little bit of the solfege songs. So I'm starting with these two, Sinnerman and Motherless Child, because they both begin with unison octaves, and that is what we do in level 2. To help them learn to tune and listen to those unison octaves. That's why I'm picking those two first. Sia Humba is 3-part, homophonic, and so it's, I always wait a little bit later on that one. It's a little more challenging for them at the beginning of the year to get harmonies in the way that Sia Humba is set up. And then in 6th grade, we are going to talk about, we are not into the folders yet, so we're going to finish up our musical discussion from the syllabus so they know about how the musical runs. And we're going to watch a video that's in my YouTube channel called How Not to Audition for a Musical. It's supposed to be funny. I want to do a future one that's a little bit more brief. But right now, this one it works, and it tells them some things about our specific audition. And then, of course, we'll end with singing, and my focus with them is chest voice versus head voice. I did a lot of crazy things with my voice yesterday and helped them, and then sometimes I let them make the chest voice sound so they sound ugly and they laugh and they're yelling at me so that they get the difference. All right, so that's a lot, but that's what I'm doing today, and I hope it's helping everybody have a great day.